did and I did nothing wrong. Person get hit with instant karma. Story 1. Our new sales director, Brad, loved to say, I did nothing wrong, like it was punctuation. He blew past travel policy, upgraded flights, expensed client dinners that were just him and a bone-in ribeye, and said finance should enable revenue, not police it. I'm on the ops team that audits expenses. Not glamorous, but we keep the lights on and the auditors civil. Quarter end, we implement a new expense tool that auto-flags policy breaches and shows anonymized trend charts in the monthly all-hands. Brad mocked it in Slack. Big brother over stakes. Then he pushed through a $4,900 prospect entertainment charge at a golf resort we don't even sell into. He clicked client present yes and listed the prospect as J. Smith. That's not a company. That's a crossword clue. The CFO asks me to prep the anonymized slide. Categories of violations by department. Sales was a skyscraper. During the all-hands, the CFO announces a surprise feature. Department leads will see their own names privately after the meeting to fix repeat issues before the audit committee hearing that afternoon. Brad writes in the all-hands chat, LOL bring it, followed by, I did nothing wrong. CFO moves to the next slide. AI found 31 duplicate receipts, 14 post-dated approvals, and one interesting client whose first name is Jello Shots. The chat goes dead. The CFO clicks a zoomed-in screenshot from the resort's Instagram. Their pros weekend highlights tagged a public story. Center frame. Brad in a resort polo, holding a trophy, standing under a banner with his personal handle. The caption, Solo Champ. Pros weekend. Our tool had scraped the vendor metadata off the uploaded receipt photo. Same timestamp as the trophy pic. Brad stood up to argue and his badge pinged. Our IT security auto-integrates with finance. Repeat abusers get travel cards paused until they meet with compliance. His card deactivated mid-sentence. Then the CEO, who'd been quiet, unmuted. Brad, that prospect you listed? You put my brother's name. He's never met you, but he forwarded me your request to connect from the golf bar. Brad stammered. This is a misunderstanding. CFO. Audit committee at 2. Bring your laptop. Brad did attend. He left without it. HR walked him past a line of people waiting for reimbursed mileage that month. People who follow the rules. The instant karma wasn't the termination email later. It was watching his Uber app decline in the lobby while he tried to expense the ride home one last time. Story 2. When adults fight, they tell you not to take sides. But sides happen anyway, like magnets. I'm 13. Dad says mom is poisoning me. Mom says dad is busy. Dad tells everyone, I did nothing wrong. Like the judge is a chorus who will sing along. In court, everything smells like carpet cleaner and coffee. There's a lady called a guardian ad litem who asks me about routines. Homework, piano, who packs lunches. Dad's lawyer says mom blocks his calls and makes me hate him. Mom's lawyer brings out calendars with missed pickups, highlighted like school notes. Dad shakes his head, smiles like he's above it. The judge asks if I want to talk privately. I say yes, but I also ask if I can show something. Only if it helps, he says. It does. I have Dad on close friends on his stories because last year he promised we'd go private snowboarding. He posted a countdown. I kept the screenshot because I kept wanting to believe it was real. It was the same weekend he texted the judge that mom wouldn't let him take me. Mom had said yes. I packed. He just didn't come. The story shows him on a plane to Miami with a woman who isn't his girlfriend, tagged at a beach club with bottles. The date and timestamp like a truth that doesn't care if you like it. Dad stands up. Your Honor, that's out of context. It's the same timestamp as your court message, the guardian ad litem says quietly, like she already knew. And there are 6 other weekends like this. Dad, I did nothing wrong. I deserve 50-50. The judge looks at me, then at him. You deserve the chance to earn your child's trust. Those are not the same thing. He adjusts custody to mom primary. Dad supervised for 3 months with a step-up plan. Dad explodes about parental alienation, about women's court, about bias, until the bailiff tells him to sit. Outside, Dad follows us, filming for his followers. He says he's exposing a corrupt system and keeping receipts. That's when his phone buzzes, his girlfriend's handle going live. The caption, can someone explain why my boyfriend is in Miami with a brunette when he said he was with his kid? Her followers pile in. Comments bloom like dandelions. He lowers the phone. For once, he looks at me instead of an audience. He opens his mouth to say, I did nothing, and stops, because the elevator door closes in his face. Inside, it's just me and mom and the carpet cleaner smell. I exhale. Magnets can flip. They can click the other way. Story 3. If you've never watched a 1,000-person wedding inhale at the same time, it's like a wave sucking back before it breaks. I was maid of honor to my best friend Leah, who'd been with Tyler forever. He wasn't my favorite. He had that grin, like he was the punchline in the setup. He'd cheat adjacent DM other women, then shrug. I did nothing wrong. We were just talking. I built the slideshow. Hours of baby photos, college antics, grandparents who still slow danced. Leah's stepdad rented a massive LED screen. Tyler joked he wanted hype music and a sick outro. I tucked in a surprise. A folder Leah had emailed me called Just In Case. She said to delete it if I never needed it. I didn't delete it. Halfway through the reception, Tyler's frat brother grabbed the mic. Drunk speech, jokes about hall passes, laughter sharpening into discomfort. Leah's smile flickered. Tyler put an arm around her and stage whispered, "Relax, babe. I did nothing wrong." When it was my turn, I clicked play. Baby Leah chewing on a block. Teenage braces. Freshman dorm selfies. Applause. Then, a photo of Tyler's phone reflected in his sunglasses, on a boat. DM overlay ghosting the image because he had the brightness maxed and took a story. The DM preview read, "Can't wait to see you again. Same hotel?" The date was 3 weeks ago. Next slide. The hotel's lobby chandelier, distinctive as a fingerprint. Geotag from his public story. Then the Venmo feed, his and the woman's. Because Venmo is a gossip column if you're bored enough. Late checkout. Silence. Leah hadn't told me what was in the Just In Case folder. The timestamps told me everything. The final slide was a video. Tyler, off camera, to the woman. "She's so busy with wedding stuff. She'll never notice." The woman. "You're evil, Tyler." I did nothing wrong. On the stage, Tyler lunged for the clicker. He tripped on the uplight cord, yanked it, took the mic stand with him. The venue manager sprinted, the screen flickered, the DJ froze. The stepdad stepped between Tyler and Leah, a wall and a tux. Leah took the mic. Her voice didn't shake. "I noticed," she said. "Security, please show my ex-fiancé to the valet. The bar is closed to him." He sputtered about defamation, about privacy, about no proof. Even as his side piece posted, "Well, this is awkward," from the parking lot with the venue's floral arch in the background. Leah's mom pressed a new envelope into the DJ's hand. We switched to a father-daughter dance. The crowd didn't cheer. They did something better. They pivoted with Leah. Her grandma led a conga line. People fed each other cake. The wave came back in, but it carried him out. Story 4. Our HOA president, Doug, wrote rules like he was engraving commandments. No flags, except his. No street parking after midnight, except his truck, because safety. He'd tape fines to your door at 6:01 a.m. And write, "I did nothing wrong. This is governance," on the community Facebook group. He hated that my partner and I installed a little free pantry. "Attracts vagrants," he said, as if kindness had a smell. He fined us $200 for unapproved structure. We appealed. He smirked through the hearing in his backyard, the one with the new 2-tier deck he bragged about building himself on Facebook Live. "No permit needed if you're handy," he'd said on camera, measuring tape chewing his lip. The city inspector had liked the video, which Doug took as applause, not a bookmark. At the summer block party, Doug set up his kingdom. Orange cones, a laminated schedule, a raffle for HOA Improvement Fund. Read, his pet projects. He climbed his deck to give a speech, beer in hand, and glanced over at our pantry. "Remove that eyesore by Monday or I escalate," he grinned. I did nothing wrong enforcing standards. A white city vehicle pulled up. 2 inspectors. They walked right past our pantry and up to Doug's deck, scanning with tablets. One asked, "Permit number?" Doug laughed. "This is private." The inspector scrolled. "We saw your tutorial. The support posts aren't to code, and you built over the utility setback." Doug puffed. "I'll appeal." "Great," she said. "Start by stopping. Right now." They taped a bright red, "Stop work dangerous structure" notice to his post. Someone snapped a photo. The community Facebook group lit up with the shot of his smirk next to the stop sign. Then the inspector added, "As HOA president, you signed a letter demanding Ms. Rivera remove her unapproved structure. Your bylaws require you to certify your own structures are compliant before citing others. You filed this on Tuesday." Doug's beer paused halfway to his mouth. "I did nothing." The beam under him creaked. Everyone looked up. The inspector stepped back as if choreographed. A stair stringer, apparently affixed with drywall screws and bravado, gave way. Doug didn't fall far, just enough to sit down hard and spill his beer all over his Standards Matter polo. No one laughed. We didn't need to. The city wrote him a fine for every day the deck stood. The HOA board called an emergency vote and replaced him that night. Our new president? Ms. Rivera. The pantry stayed. Doug's deck did not. Story 5. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm the kind of paralegal who reads leases for fun and rage. My friend May moved out of a shoebox where the landlord, Rick, inspected weekly by letting himself in. He withheld her entire deposit for repainting nicotine stains, which was impressive given May doesn't smoke and lived there 9 months. Rick told her, I did nothing wrong. It's standard. Sue me. So we did. Small claims, Friday morning, my Super Bowl. Rick swaggered in with a manila folder and reading glasses he didn't need. He brought a witness, his handyman, who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Rick opened with a monologue about tenants these days and entitlement, and my property, my rules. The judge, who'd obviously heard this aria before, asked for the lease. We'd brought 2 copies, the one May signed and the one Rick emailed when he tried to update it mid-tenancy by text. I highlighted 3 things: illegal entry language, landlord may enter at any time without notice, a clause deducting routine painting from the deposit, and an early termination convenience fee that isn't a thing. Rick tapped the illegal entry clause with a pen. Standard. I've used this for years. I did nothing wrong. Standardly unlawful, the judge said, not looking up, and unenforceable. Continue. Rick produced photos of stains. I zoomed in on the EXIF data. The metadata right there at the bottom because he'd printed from his phone. 2 of the photos were time-stamped 6 days before May gave notice. One showed a different unit number in the doorframe. I asked the handyman if he took the photos. He said no. He was out of town. Lifted his wrist to show a surgery band. Rick glared at him like betrayal was contagious. Then came the twist I didn't plan. When the judge asked for Rick's before photos, required by our city's ordinance, Rick said he didn't have them because the prior tenant trashed the place and fled. The clerk, who had been silent all morning, cleared her throat. Sir, are you the same Richard L., who filed a complaint last month about tenants stealing appliances? He nodded. She turned her monitor. On the public docket, Rick had sued the previous tenant and attached 12 glossy before photos to prove how pristine the unit had been. Same unit number, same wall art, same scuff that was there the day May moved in. The judge awarded May the full deposit, plus statutory damages for the illegal lease terms, plus costs. As we were packing up, a process server walked in. Beeline to Rick. Richard L.? He handed him an envelope for another case. The previous tenant, countersuing with those very photos. Rick started his incantation. I did nothing, but the server was already gone. In the hallway, May hugged me so hard I lost a bobby pin. There's a particular sound a man makes when the system he gamed turns around and reads from his own script. It sounds like no words at all. Story 6. Academia. Plagiarism. Labmate POV. Department colloquium. I shared a bench and a busted centrifuge with Marco for 2 years. He was talented at 2 things: schmoozing visiting professors and saying, I did nothing wrong, whenever his data looked suspiciously smooth. He'd hover near my laptop when I coded, then sigh theatrically about how open science meant sharing. Our PI, exhausted and grant-hunted, didn't want to fight. At Spring Colloquium, Marco unveiled his novel pipeline for single-cell analysis. He'd secured the keynote slot with a preprint that blew up on academic Twitter. He clicked to his method slide. My stomach flipped. The function names on the schematic were mine. Not generic, mine. I once named a helper function Pumpkin Spice Normalizer after a Starbucks cup exploded in the tissue hood. Dumb joke, sure, but it was my dumb joke. There it was, in 72 pet font, riding his glory. I texted our PI. That's my code. She texted back, breathe. Will handle. On stage, a visiting statistician asked for the GitHub. Marco smirked. I'll upload after the talk. He waved to the next slide, a demo running on his laptop. He launched the app. Then the projector mirrored a brief flicker of his desktop. A minimized window popped into view and back. A PDF titled Thesis Draft, Lena Final 2 PDF, My Thesis. Another window, a folder, Lena Code 2023, with a zipped file timestamped last night. Murmurs. He kept talking faster. A postdoc in the 3rd row raised a hand. Why does your pumpkin spice normalizer print the exact same random seed outputs as a commit I made to Lena's repo in October? She'd forked me months ago. The SHA was burned into her brain. Marco claimed coincidence. I did nothing wrong, he said. Common names. The AV tech leaned in to adjust audio and accidentally, or mercifully, hit CMD tab. The screen cycled through every window, including one with a browser tab. My private lab wiki, a page labeled Do Not Share, drafts. The login showed my username and a password manager dropdown that read, Last used yesterday. I didn't need to speak. The department chair stood. Calmly, she asked Marco to stop the presentation and bring his laptop to IT for an immediate provenance audit. He tried to exit the full screen and close everything. The mirrored screen showed him dragging my entire folder toward the trash. The AV tech, expression flat, unplugged the HDMI and killed the display. The chair turned to me. Lena, can you present your pipeline? Even a rough version? My hands shook. I opened my slides. The room leaned in. I showed my messy plots, my ugly comments, my laughable variable names. People took photos and asked hard questions. I answered, imperfectly, honestly. By the end, our PI was red-eyed in a way I'd never seen. The chair announced a formal investigation. Later that afternoon, IT found my campus login active on Marco's machine. The instant karma wasn't the misconduct email that hit his inbox. It was the quiet click of the auditorium doors as people followed me, not him, into the hallway to ask how they could help. He said, I did nothing wrong again. But this time it sounded like a door closing behind him. Story 7. I wrangled power strips and pizza at the city's biggest hackathon. We had a live leaderboard, a fog machine for the demo stage. Silly, theatrical, irresistible. A team called Byte Knights swaggered in with matching hoodies and the aura of guys who call product managers interns. Their lead, Nash, told the press they planned to disrupt telemedicine. When a mentor warned them about using proprietary APIs, Nash waved him off. I did nothing wrong. It's public if you know where to look. Demo day, fog, applause, battery anxiety. Nash launched their app. Instant video consults, breathtaking latency. Judges perked up. A sponsor from a major health tech firm leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Nash bragged about reverse engineering an internal endpoint. The audience gasped appreciatively. I stopped breathing. We require teams to push their code to a provided repo before presenting. As an organizer, I can peek to ensure rules compliance. I opened Byte Knight's repo on my tablet, a .env file committed by accident, bright as a flare. Inside, an API key prefixed with the sponsor's company name. Live, unrestricted. I pinged our security liaison, who walked to the side of the stage and made a tiny hand signal to the sponsor. The sponsor typed something, stared at her phone, and then very calmly stood. Pause the presentation, she said into a mic. The room fell quiet. Those are our internal keys. Where did you get them? Nash laughed. Come on, secrets want to be free. She didn't laugh. A phone chimed, then another, then dozens. Our Slack bot, integrated with Git events, had posted in the public hackathon channel. Warning. Sensitive credentials committed to public repo by Byte Knights. Rotating keys now. The rotation hit mid-demo. Nash tapped his app. The screen flashed 401 unauthorized. He jabbed it again. The fog machine hissed like it was laughing. Okay, minor glitch, he said. We have local fallback. He clicked. The app tried to connect to an endpoint, now redirecting to a company page titled Report Security Issues Responsibly. The sponsor turned her mic off and spoke to the stage manager. Two staffers approached Nash and asked for his laptop. For containment, he pulled back. I did nothing wrong. We disqualified the team for violating the rules and exposing patient data risk. Nash tried to rally the crowd about gatekeeping and innovation, but the mood had shifted. In a pivot that felt like poetic justice, the judges awarded first prize to a quiet duo who'd built an offline triage tool using open data and no external services. On stage, while they held their comically oversized check, the sponsor stepped back to the mic. To the Byte Knights lead, she said evenly, our legal team will contact you. To Maya and Pry, she nodded at the duo, we'd like to offer you both interviews. Nash stormed out into drizzle, hood up, muttering, didn't do anything wrong, to a cameraman who had already turned to film the people who had. Story 8. I run the student broadcast for our high school. 2 cameras, a temperamental mixer, and a mic that picks up every sneeze within 20 yards. Friday night, playoff soccer. We stream on YouTube with a sponsor who sells hot cocoa from a truck that smells like heaven. In the stands, you can hear parents like Weather Systems. One dad in particular, Mr. Pike, thinks volume is truth. He spent all season berating Coach Rivera and our goalkeeper Jonah because Jonah has panic attacks and sometimes needs a sub. Mental weakness, Mr. Pike barks. I did nothing wrong telling the truth. Before kickoff, Coach told us to mute field mics during timeouts because some parents had been recording kids on their phones and posting clips with mean captions. We agreed. Mid-game, Jonah made a gorgeous save, then crouched, breathing with his hands on his knees. A timeout horn blared. I slid the audio faders down. The crowd murmured. That hungry murmur when people smell gossip. Mr. Pike started up, loud enough for our booth mic to pick him up anyway. He began reading, word for word, a rumor-filled text thread about Jonah from a parents' group chat. The one that was supposed to be about snacks. The words felt greasy in my ears. I killed every input. Our chat lit up. Sound? No audio? Good. Then karma climbed the ladder. The school had rolled out a new scoreboard system that synced with our stream. The athletic director was proud but ancient with tech and had asked me to airplay the scoreboard from his tablet. I'd tested it. It worked. What I didn't know, what none of us knew, was that Mr. Pike had visited the AD's office earlier, banged on about stats transparency, and left his Bluetooth on. When the AD reconnected to AirPlay during the timeout to correct a foul count, the system auto-connected to the loudest nearby device advertising screen share, Mr. Pike's phone. Our stream cut from the field to a mirrored display of his Messages app. The parents' chat filled the screen like a confession wall. Names, numbers. His messages were the worst. He doctored a screenshot of Jonah skipping practice to make him look lazy. Then, 10 bubbles up, a message from his son, Tyler. Dad, please stop. Jonah helped me on math, and I'm the one who asked Coach to sub him last week because I freaked out too. The typing ellipses pulsed. A fresh bubble appeared. If you keep posting about him, I'm quitting. We cut the feed instantly, hearts sprinting. On the field, Tyler walked over to Jonah, put a hand on his shoulder and said something. Jonah nodded. The stands went silent in a way our stadium never does. It wasn't angry, it was ashamed. After the game, we won in penalties, Jonah stonewalled too. The principal met Mr. Pike at the gate with 2 security officers. We're banning you from the next 3 events for harassment, she said. He started his script. I did nothing wrong, but Tyler stepped between them. Quietly, into the mic he knew wasn't live anymore, he said, You did, and you did it to me too. The hot cocoa truck handed Jonah a free one as he walked by. I swung the camera toward the sky and let the stars have the frame. Story 9. I'm 71 and I run the cash box because arthritis makes counting coins slow and careful, which is what the money deserves. Our church runs a monthly soups and sweets night. Pay what you can, no questions asked. We feed whoever shows up. Folks with kids, folks with nowhere else to be. It smells like cinnamon and onions and exhaustion lifting. Our new operations lead, Dylan, arrived with a beard you could lose a spoon in and a resume full of words like optimization. He introduced laminated name tags and a QR tip jar. Fine. Then he started hovering. I'll take the night deposit, he'd say. When we asked for receipts, he said the bank app crashed. When the pantry ordered bulk beans, the invoice had a 30% admin fee payable to DL Ops. He smiled. I did nothing wrong. I'm saving you time. So I baked something I hadn't in years. A money cake. My late husband and I did it for the county fair. Hide bills and parchment straws inside a sheet cake for kids to squeal over. It's legal as biscuits if you wrap the bills clean. I replaced some of the small bills with marked ones that our treasurer had logged serial numbers for. And I tucked the straws not across the cake but clustered along one side, the side closest to Dylan's station. I told no one. Halfway through the night, the fire alarm hiccuped. Someone's garlic bread got enthusiastic. The sprinklers didn't go off, thank goodness. But the kitchen fans kicked in and the room's temperature plummeted. Dylan hustled, all helpful hands. Let me move desserts so they don't dry out. He slid my cake toward his end of the table and, in the shuffle, palmed 3 straws. Subtle to anyone but someone who's been watching boys steal cookies since 1972. After cleanup, he volunteered for the bank run. 30 minutes later, he returned, light on paperwork as usual. I asked to see the count sheet. We were short, not by much, but by exactly the pattern of the marked bills. 3 20s and a 5. The treasurer and I exchanged a look. No worries, Dylan said. I'll cover it next time. Don't trouble yourself, I said, and handed him a foil pan. Here, leftovers. Inside was not casserole. It was a zip bag holding the 3 parchment straws and a photocopy of the serial numbers with today's date. And a note. Our cameras are old, but the serials are young. His mouth opened, then closed. He stammered, This is a misunderstanding. Outside, headlights cut across the fellowship hall as a county officer pulled up. Our treasurer's niece, off-duty but curious. Dylan's face went white. He bolted for the side door and nearly collided with Mrs. Patel, who'd returned because she forgot her scarf. Her tote burst open. Cans rolled everywhere. Without thinking, I barked, "Dylan, pick those up!" He did. The officer, amused, watched him chase cream of mushroom into a corner. We didn't arrest him. We didn't have to. The pastor quietly asked him to step down and repay the missing money, or we'd file. He brought a cashier's check the next morning. The instant karma wasn't the check. It was that he had to hand it to me and look at his reflection in the church hall window behind us where our poster reads, "Take what you need. Leave what you can." He had to see which side he'd been on. Story 10. I keep shows from falling apart. That's my job. Gaffer tape and schedules and the quiet art of reminding a lead actor to hit their mark without making them feel small. Our star Jasper had TV credits and a talent for ignoring fight call. I begged him to run the sword work every night. He'd wink at the crew and say, "I did nothing wrong. I know it." The big second act moment involved a trapdoor, a blackout, and a fog burst. We had a safety checklist longer than Hamlet. Jasper hated the belt that clipped to his harness, said it wrinkled the coat. He'd unclip the second my back turned. I stuck a note on my headset, "Belt, belt, belt." The union rep gave him a talk. He smirked. Opening night, the audience was full of donors and an influential critic with an expression like a thin blade. 10 minutes to the trap. I did checks. Belt? He showed me the clip, rolled his eyes, then sashayed to the wings. The fight captain ran the steps. Jasper refused. "Save the voice," he said. "Like physics cares about your vowels." Cue sequence. Storm sound, lightning strobe, fog crank, trap unlock. Jasper lunged forward for the fall and planted 1 foot a foot too far upstage where the false floor ended. He didn't drop into the pit. The safety stop caught the platform. But the sudden jar popped the fog machine hose, which whipped like a startled snake and blasted fog into the wings, revealing the crew, the fly ropes, the props like a magician showing the card up his sleeve. The illusion shattered. The audience gasped, not at the drama, but at the mess. We froze in headset. "Hold," I said. Jasper tried to soldier on, ad-libbing, then blamed a crew malfunction loud enough for Row G to hear. I did nothing. He didn't finish because the fog roiled toward downstage and curled, theatrically, around a figure I had forgotten existed at that moment. The understudy, Noor, in full costume, waiting for a contingency that never happens, except it just had. I made a call that might have ended my career if it had gone wrong. Overcom. Lights to cue 74. Music vamp. Jasper off. Understudy on. The conductor caught it. The board op slammed the go button. Noor stepped through the fog like a ship through morning, took the line we'd rehearsed 100 times and never used, and hit a note that soaked the audience in hush. After, in the green room stink of sweat and adrenaline, Jasper threw a fit. "You undercut me." The crew botched it. The director listened, then quietly walked to the callboard. She pulled down the fight call required sign and replaced it with the union notice dated that morning. Failure to adhere to safety protocol may result in removal. It had Jasper's signature. The critics' review ran the next day. "A production nearly undone by one man's ego," it read. And then, like theater's best magic, saved by an understudy whose rigor reminded us why we sit in the dark at all. Noor's name trended. 2 days later, the director posted an update. New principal effective immediately. The instant karma wasn't that Jasper lost the role. It was that on his way out, he stopped by the trapdoor to complain. And the carpenter, who'd been patching the hose, handed him a safety belt. "Souvenir," she said. He had to carry the thing he refused to wear. Story 11. I work the evening bank at gate C27, the hour when everyone is tired and no one reads signs. We were boarding a full flight to Denver when a man in a designer hoodie cut to the front and planted his elbows on my counter like they were VIP badges. "I'm pre-boarding for a medical reason," he said, waggling a luggage tag that said "influencer," like it was a prescription. His rollerboard was the size of a studio apartment. "Of course," I said. "What's the accommodation?" He pointed at his camera. "I need overhead space for equipment. Also, I can't stand in line. My lawyer says I did nothing wrong claiming Ada. You can't question me." I can't, and didn't. "I can ask for the bag to be gate-checked if it won't fit." He barked that it fit on the inbound. Meanwhile, an elderly woman with oxygen tubing and a purple boarding pass, actual pre-board, waited patiently 2 people back, clutching a crocheted blanket. Hoodie man physically nudged her with his bag, then grinned at me. Clock's ticking. We pre-boarded. He sprinted down the jet bridge and beelined to row 1, exit seat, not permitted for pre-board, tossed his mammoth case into the overhead, then moved 2 rows back to his actual seat, effectively reserving space. When I asked him to relocate the bag, He said the magic phrase again. I did nothing wrong. We started general boarding. The last standby passenger, quiet, in uniform, carrying only a small tote, arrived at my desk. Jump seat cleared, he said. The name matched our manifest. He was the flight's captain, commuting in to take the morning leg. Pilots ride like everyone else when they're not flying. On board, the aisle clogged. Overhead bins filled. Grandma with the purple pass reached her row and stared at the space taken by the hoodie's case. The front FA asked whose it was. Hoodie man feigned sleep. The FA tried again. He loudly declared he had a medical accommodation. The FA, calm as winter, said the words that move mountains. Captain's discretion. The commuting pilot stood up from row 28, walked forward, and introduced himself to Grandma first. Ma'am, he said, these bins are reserved for your row. Let's make room. Then he turned to Hoodie Man. Sir, you can keep your bag on board if it fits in your own bin. Otherwise, we'll check it. Hoodie Man rolled his eyes. You can't touch that. I know my rights. I did nothing wrong. The captain looked at me. Gate check tag, please. I wrote one. Hoodie Man filmed us, narrating about abuse of power. The internet loves a confrontation. He thought he was making content. We pushed, taxied, then stopped. Not for him. Weather. He started live streaming from 1A, ranting. His chat filled with hearts, until the Wi-Fi portal flagged his stream as a violation and kicked him to messaging only. He pivoted to texting. The captain came on the PA to explain the delay. His voice, warm, steady, matched the man in row 28's. Hoodie Man looked confused. We returned to gate due to a ground stop. Company policy. Anyone who interferes with crew instructions deplanes to cool off. Guess who got the tap? He stood, sputtering about lawsuits. As he turned, Grandma's crocheted blanket caught his bag's protruding handle and, like a lasso, yanked it off his shoulder. The case popped open. Not medical equipment. 3 ring lights, a drone, band, and a novelty megaphone tumbled into the aisle. Security escorted him out. As he left, he shouted that he'd get us fired. The captain quietly walked back to Grandma's row, slid her oxygen concentrator into the overhead, and offered her his own aisle seat up front for the second attempt. She patted his hand. Thank you, son. He smiled. Happy to be here. Hoodie Man posted a furious edit that night about airline tyranny. The comments did their own instant karma. The first was from the FAA's official account. Please DM regarding the prohibited lithium device visible in your video. The second was from his brand partner, under his meltdown. We expect our ambassadors to model kindness while traveling. We'll be parting ways. Story 12. I fix bikes in a garage that smells like chain lube in July. 6 months ago, my custom steel commuter went missing from outside the co-op. It wasn't the lock, it was my heart. I'd built it with my dad's old Campagnolo headset and a bell I found at a yard sale that somehow made every street sound friendly. I filed a report, set alerts, and put a Bluetooth tracker in everything I owned afterward. The bike was gone. Then, last Saturday, a friend texted a link. Isn't this? Marketplace listing. Vintage steel single speed, like new. Photographed badly in a kitchen with a fake subway tile peel and stick backsplash. I knew the scratch on the top tube like a constellation. Seller's name, Connor L. 4 mutual friends. Our town is a small circle. His profile was full of posts about hustle culture and the grind never stops. In a comment thread about finders keepers under a shoplifting video, he'd written, I did nothing wrong. Stores have insurance. That told me what I needed to know. I messaged, still available? He said yes, cash only, police station parking lot, for safety. I said perfect. At noon, he rolled up wearing a flat brim cap in confidence. The bike was my bike, down to the nick in the bell. He talked fast. Found it abandoned. I swapped some parts. I did nothing wrong. Honestly, I'm doing you a favor. I asked to test ride. He agreed. I lifted the saddle to check the seat post because that's where I had laser-etched my initials. Tiny as a mosquito. They were there. I swallowed what wanted to become a scream. Instead, I clipped a small leash through the frame and clicked it to my belt. He laughed, until the patrol officer who'd been watching us, our town knows how this goes, ambled over. Everything okay? She asked. Connor puffed up. Just a sale. The officer nodded at me. I pulled out a folded sheet, the police report with the serial number. Then my phone, the original receipt from the frame builder, my name on it. Then the laser-etched seat post. Connor's face cycled from red to white. I found it, he said. I did nothing wrong. The officer raised an eyebrow. Where? He gestured vaguely. By the river. She radioed something quiet. 2 minutes later, Another officer walked in carrying a plastic bin, items recovered that morning from an encampment sweep, including a cut U-lock and 3 other frames. In the bin was a Ziploc bag with a business card. Mine. From the Bell Company with a handwritten, "Thanks for supporting small makers," note I'd gotten with the Bell and kept because I'm a sap. The officer turned to Connor. "You've been selling multiple bikes online all week. We have screenshots of your listings, same kitchen, same backsplash. The serial on this frame is in our system, reported stolen." He sputtered, then reached for the handlebars like he could will the past 6 months into a misunderstanding. I looked at the bell. "Mind if I ring it?" The officer smiled. I rang it. The sound was the exact pitch of coming home. Connor didn't get cuffed. He got cited with a court date and a trespass warning from the station. As he left, he mumbled his mantra again. The instant karma wasn't the ticket clutched in his hand. It was the poster on the lobby wall he couldn't avoid reading as he slunk out. Community bike drive. Donate recovered bicycles for kids. His own photos, the ones he'd taken to brag, were in my phone, now forwarded to the detective organizing that drive. He'd created evidence with every flip of that peel-and-stick backsplash. Story 13. When Aunt Salma died, she left behind a teakwood chest that smelled like mothballs and migrations. She also left behind my cousin Rahim's certainty that he deserved everything. He had moved her into his house to save her money, then supervised her visitors like a customs officer. He told anyone who challenged him, "I did nothing wrong. I'm protecting her legacy." At the funeral, the imam's voice rolled like a river. After the prayers, the lawyer asked the family to stay for a brief reading. We gathered in the chapel where the stained glass looked like 1,000 small decisions. Rahim stood front center in a new suit, palms pressed together like a prayer he didn't believe in. Beside him, my mother held my hand so tightly my knuckles creaked. The lawyer opened a folder. "Your aunt revised her will last month," he said. Rahim smiled, visible relief. To clarify how she wanted to handle the house, the smile widened. The lawyer continued. "But first, Ms. Salma asked that I play a short message." A TV on a wheeled cart, somehow every solemn room owns the same TV, flickered. Aunt Salma filled the screen, wearing her favorite yellow scarf. Her voice was thinner than I remembered, but clear. "Hello, my loves," she said. "If you are seeing this, I am with your grandfather, arguing about cricket again." She thanked us, told a small story about Rahim at 5 years old, slipping dates into everyone's pockets so no one would be hungry. And then, so gently I almost missed the blade, she described how, this year, Rahim had helped by answering her phone, helped by opening her mail, helped by shredding papers she didn't need. She looked down, then back into the camera. "I know you think you did nothing wrong," she said, as if he were across the kitchen table. "You forgot that I remember everything." She reached for something. The camera jostled. She held up a composition notebook. "I wrote every check I gave you in this book," she said. "And I wrote every time you told me someone else didn't call." "They did. I called them back from the number you deleted." She smiled, not unkindly. "You are still my boy. But the house will be held in trust for the daycare, like your grandfather and I planned." Rahim started talking over the video. "This is manipulated." She was confused. "I did nothing." The lawyer raised a hand. "Your aunt anticipated you might question her competence," he said. He pulled out a second document. A neurological evaluation from 3 weeks prior, attesting to her capacity. Then a third, certified copies of 2 cashier's checks to Rahim, totaling the exact amount of the mystery withdrawals he'd hinted about to the family. "Gifts," the memo line read in her looping Urdu, "for the little boy who shared dates." The punch wasn't the trust papers. Those were math. The punch was the last 30 seconds of her video. She turned the notebook around and pointed to a page. "There is a key in the teakwood chest," she said. "It opens the bottom drawer. The bottom drawer has letters I wrote to the people I couldn't see because the phone was always dead. Please give them the letters, and give my bracelets to Rahim's daughter when she turns 18. Let her sell them if she wishes. Shine should be a choice." We opened the chest. The key was taped under the lid. The bottom drawer held envelopes addressed in careful script to neighbors, to a friend in Karachi, to my mother. There was one for me. Inside was a Polaroid of Aunt Salma and me at a fair, henna drying on our hands, grins identical. On the back, "You always came anyway." Rahim left before the coffee was poured. The daycare director cried into her cup when we told her. The instant karma wasn't that he didn't get the house. It was that every person he filtered out poured back in through a door he couldn't stand in anymore. Story 14. I work quality assurance for a fintech call center, which means I listen to recordings and check boxes, verify ID, read disclosures, don't promise the moon. Most reps are saints. A few think the rules are a personal insult. Derek was one of those. He closed tickets fast and left a trail of customers who felt like they'd been run over by a smooth jazz playlist. When we coached him, he rolled his chair back and said, "I did nothing wrong. Some people are sensitive." One Thursday, a client escalated an email. "Your agent mocked my stutter." I pulled the call. Derek's voice oozed fake empathy. When the client asked him to slow down, he sighed audibly. He misverified, changed the client's email without consent, and at the end, muttered, after he thought he'd hung up, "Learn to talk." I flagged it red. HR scheduled a review. Derek sauntered in, coffee in one hand, a gym bag in the other, and a smile that belonged in a frat basement. "Just a tough call," he shrugged. "I did nothing wrong." We play recordings in these meetings. Derek smirked and leaned back. Our compliance officer clicked play. The room filled with the sound of Derek's voice, and then another voice, his. Not from the call, but from a side channel. He'd been streaming to a private Discord during work, which he forgot to mute, narrating the highlights to his buddies. Our recording suite had captured his desktop audio because IT had rolled out a patch that week to collect system sound for training on soft skills. He'd mocked the client in real time, then read the man's masked account number out loud to show how easy this job is. There was a beat of surreal silence. Derek blinked. "That's illegal. You can't record me," he said, suddenly very interested in privacy. The compliance officer slid a paper across the table, the very acknowledgement he had e-signed approving desktop capture for coaching. "You did," she said. He pivoted. "Okay, but none of that left the company." Our IT manager swiveled her monitor. On Discord, one of Derek's friends had clipped the stream and posted it in a public server to make fun of our client's voice. The clip included our logo. The friend had helpfully tagged the company on Twitter with, "Your boy Derek is wild." Legal joined the meeting mid-spiral. We terminated him for cause. He swore he would sue. He stormed out, still narrating to no one. "I did nothing wrong." The instant karma hit before the elevator did. Our biggest client's VP of operations was touring the floor that day. She recognized Derek from somewhere she couldn't place, until she saw the Discord clip, which our PR team had already forwarded. She opened her phone, scrolled, and showed us his LinkedIn. "He applied last week to my team," she said. Then she looked at me. QA saved us a world of pain. We sent an apology and a gift card to the customer Derek mocked. He phoned our support line later and asked for me by name because I'd left a note to check in. His stutter wove through our conversation like a river around stones. Steady, beautiful. At the end, he said, "I almost didn't call again." I said, "I'm glad you did." The next day, the public Discord clip disappeared, deleted by a moderator who added a new rule at the top. No doxing. No cruelty. People are listening. Story 15. I'm a volunteer steward at a wildflower preserve where the hills go gold in May and people go feral for photos. We put up ropes and little signs that say, "Stay on trail, crust is alive," which most folks ignore like they ignore elevator weight limits. A local micro-celebrity named Zane hiked in with a film crew at peak bloom, hopped the rope, and did a barefoot dance on a patch of cryptobiotic soil older than my parents. When park staff asked him to step back, he smirked into his camera. "I did nothing wrong. Nature is for everyone." His followers posted hard eyes. Our inbox filled with hate. We document damage with a GPS camera. I took pictures of the crushed crust and the snapped lupine. Zane posted a reel that night, tagging sponsors who sell water bottles and shoes he did not wear. The comments split into two camps, King and Killjoy Rangers. We knew better than to fight the comments. We closed the area for a week to let the blooms breathe. 2 days later, the forecast turned. Mountain storms roll in like a drawn curtain. Zane came back to apologize, or so his caption said, but the thumbnail was him shirtless on the overlook. The wind shifted. The first growl of thunder stitched the sky. We radioed the lookout to clear the ridge. Most folks hustled down. Zane stayed, arms wide, hair dramatic. Lightning likes drama. A bolt hit a half-mile away. The crack made my teeth hum. Zane flinched, finally, and sprinted for the shortcut, an illegal social trail that turns to grease when it's wet. He slipped, slid, and pinned his ankle between a rock and his fallen tripod. His crew yelled. We called it in. Rescue doesn't ask what you posted. Rescue comes. By the time the SAR team arrived, the rain was enthusiastic. They stabilized him, bundled him like a burrito, and started the long, careful litter carry to the trailhead. And because we're a preserve that partners with the local university, our rescue trainings are often filmed, with consent, for educational materials. Zane had signed his media release on entry as part of the film permit he applied for after the first incident. The student videographer kept pace, soaked to the bone, documenting best practices in poor conditions. The twist wasn't that the rescue video went viral. It was that one of his sponsors, a sustainability brand that had liked his "Nature is for Everyone" reel, commented on the rescue clip from the park's official page before we even posted it. We've seen footage of our ambassador damaging protected crust and requiring rescue he could have avoided by following guidelines, their statement began. We are ending our partnership effective immediately and will donate his last 3 months of fees to the preserve. Zayn posted through the pain from the ER. Haters want to see me fall. I did nothing wrong. The top reply wasn't from us or from a troll. It was from an older woman with a profile picture of a dog and a sunrise. You did one thing very right, she wrote. You let those people carry you when you were small. The next weekend, he came back on crutches. He stayed behind the rope. He didn't film. He watched a patch of crust sparkle when the sun broke through and said nothing at all. Story 16. I've waited tables long enough to know the difference between a real allergy and a free meal audition. Saturday, we'd triple-sat the patio when a guy in a neon cap strode in, phone already live. Foodie Felix here. Collab night, he announced to his followers and, apparently, to the health code. He didn't have a reservation, but he had a camera. And the line, I did nothing wrong. Restaurants want this kind of exposure. I found him a two-top by the host stand so I could keep an eye on him. He ordered the dairy-free special and then asked for extra parm on the side, but like, off camera. I explained kindly that Parmesan is dairy and our kitchen takes allergies seriously. He rolled his eyes. It's a preference, babe. Don't be dramatic. The couple behind him, older, holding hands like it was still their first date, went very quiet. He spent the next 20 minutes filming servers without consent, sticking his phone over the pass to catch steamy content, calling our sauté guy brother like we were prop furniture. He sent back a perfectly medium steak claiming it was raw for the reel. When I offered to temp it in front of him, he refused. Don't ruin the narrative. Then the universe tipped. The man from the hand-holding couple stood and gently asked if he could borrow our instant read thermometer. He said it like he was asking to borrow sugar, but he wore a jacket with the stitched logo of the beef supplier we use. He was their regional rep, in town to meet our chef. He temped the steak on camera, Felix's camera, which Felix had left resting on a water glass for the natural angle. It read 135 degrees on the dot, the textbook middle of medium. The comments started rolling up Felix's live like marching ants. Dude, LOL caught, stop wasting food. Felix sputtered about harassment and creative control. The older woman at the table added, also, son, you can't film other guests without permission. She said it like a mother who has taught many lessons. Then she flashed a badge she'd kept tucked in her purse. City health inspector, off duty, out with her husband, and, fatefully, the person who'd signed off on our last A. She didn't cite us, she didn't need to. She opened Felix's chat on her own phone and typed a comment that bubbled to the top, because apparently the algorithm respects a bit of authority. False allergy claims and interfering with service can get restaurants fined. Please stop. The chat turned. His followers asked why his DF night had Parmesan in the captioned B-roll from 5 minutes earlier. Someone zoomed and screenshot his receipt's name. Someone else searched it. The internet is fast when it smells blood and cheese. He tossed his card at me with a flourish. It declined. He turned a wild shade of pink and said the magic words, I did nothing wrong, like it was going to print cash. The hand-holding couple quietly paid his bill in hours in the table next to us. Then the inspector asked to speak to him privately at the host stand. She didn't fine him. She asked him to apologize to the kitchen. He tried to film it. She covered his lens with one finger and shook her head. He mumbled something at the pass. Our sauté guy stared at the floor and nodded once. Felix left. Later that night, someone sent me a clip. Felix's sponsors had commented on his live, then pulled the plug. His big exposure? He exposed himself. The older couple stopped by the pass on their way out. He squeezed her hand. She squeezed back. Your temp is perfect, she told our chef. Both of them.